A new episode on Christmas Day? Well, why not? You know, it always bugged me that everything was always a rerun on holidays anyway. Plus, since it's now only 6 more days until 2013, this is the perfect opportunity for a Best Movies of 2012 episode. So let's get to it, starting at number 10, Casa de mi Padre. Yeah, that's right. This is one of the funniest and most original comedies I saw all year. Will Ferrell performing an entire role in phonetic Spanish in a note-perfect parody of vintage Mexican telenovelas. Just the premise is funny enough, but the actual movie had a lot of biting, clever, fall-down funny gags beyond the genre spoof was a really pleasant surprise. Number 9. Ted. I like Family Guy for the most part, and I think Seth MacFarlane is a really talented guy. But if you told me last year that the funniest mainstream comedy of 2012 was going to be his debut feature about a foul-mouthed teddy bear, I would have called you nuts, and I'd have been wrong. Ted is hilarious, deftly skewering the immature Gen X male comedy genre by carrying the premise to the logical extreme, but also by being a great example of one as well. The extended house party sequence is an instant comedy classic. Ted himself is one of the breakout characters of the year, and I was especially impressed that they were able to make a movie about male friendship where Mila Kunis still gets to play a character instead of a plot device as the girlfriend. Number 8. Lincoln. Instead of turning into the soft-focus biopic people were expecting, Steven Spielberg's big period presidential showpiece is a lively, edgy, and even funny movie about political dirty dealing that comes down on the dirty dealer's side. In an election year that was positively awash in media sanctimony about how noble and honorable politics used to be, Lincoln boldly posits that one of our greatest presidents was great precisely because he was willing to play dirty, stretch the truth, bend the rules, twist some arms, and run the long con in service of his own high-minded ideals, resulting in a film that plays the passage of the 13th Amendment, one of the most important moments in American history, as a kind of Ocean's 11-style caper movie with the end of slavery as the prize. Number 7. Cabin in the Woods. If you still haven't seen this, I'm still not going to spoil it for you. This was the big one, the first real game changer for horror movies since I can't even remember when. Even if you do figure out where this twisted, secret-laden bloodbath is going, you'll still never believe just how far. Number 6. Wreck-It Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph could have been another paean to the marketing power of Generation X and gaming nostalgia, but instead Disney delivered a funny, exciting, and even poignant adventure story about the power of self-acceptance. While the advertising leaned heavily on video game cameos, the film's real strength came from terrific original characters like John C. Reilly as the big sad lug of a lead, Sarah Silverman's spot-on parody of a 90s-style cute kid character, and Jane Lynch's Calhoun, a send-up of strong female game heroines who's actually a lot better than most of the real ones. Number 5. Paranorman. This was a great movie because it had the guts to go small, intimate, and genuinely spooky. Too many movies aimed at kids are in too much of a hurry to get to the wacky roller coaster stuff, but Paranorman goes for a slow, character-focused build-up and a third act that's both genuinely frightening and genuinely moving, with a shockingly dark reveal and a script that has a lot more thoughtful things to say about bullying, self-esteem, and other issues than most grown-up movies do. Number 4. The Hobbit. Peter Jackson's Middle-earth prequel had a rocky start, a couple of them actually, and could have gone either way, but it turns out the return to the Shire is well worth waiting for. By design, it can't quite match Lord of the Rings' potent depths or epic scope, but it's a cracking good adventure movie in its own right, with more than enough canonical embellishment to make the expansion to trilogy length feel more or less justified so far. Is it extraneous to turn minor throwaway references from the book into the basis for gigantic action set pieces? Well, probably, but if they're this much fun, why would I complain? Number 3. Django Unchained. You'll get a full review of this one from me at our regularly scheduled time and place. Until then, just 3 simple words for now. Go see Django. Number 2. Cloud Atlas. Even if it hadn't been a success, I would still be tempted to put Tom Tykwer and the Wachowskis' sprawling, time and body-jumping epic on here just for having the guts to try. A film set in 6 time periods with multiple actors playing multiple roles with no regard for conventional rules of race, gender, or age in the service of a single story, that took brains, heart, and guts, and this movie has all of those and then some. Number 1. The Avengers. And really, what else would it have been? Genre fans have waited for the day when shared universe continuity would follow comic book superheroes from the page to the screen, and now that seal has been forever broken by Joss Whedon's genre-redefining action epic that finally put to bed the short-sighted myth that you can't do these things faithfully and do them well. The clever script, the great characters, the amazing visuals, hands down the best live-action superhero battle ever put to screen, took the Avengers from being an impossible dream to the new gold standard for its entire genre. I waited 3 decades for someone to finally pull this off, and man, am I still amazed they actually did it. Well, alright, that was fun. In fact, I feel like having some more fun. Next week, the worst of 2012. I'm Bob, and that's the big picture. Happy New Year, everybody! Last week, I gave you my best movies of 2012, so now it's time for the other list. Starting with number 10. The Expendables 2. The absolute worst thing about the Expendables franchise is it doesn't even try. It's not like anyone is asking these movies to be good. Most of the people in it and the movies they're famous for making are quite often beloved for having never been good. But instead of actually having some fun teaming up a who's who of big dumb action movie icons, both of these movies have played it safe, easy, and dull. Guys, if you have to make another one of these, call up Robert Rodriguez at least. He knows how to make this crap work. Number 9. Alex Cross. Tyler Perry might be the least intimidating 6'5" man on planet Earth, so the spectacle of watching him try to front a gritty, Dirty Harry-style action cop movie is pretty damn hysterical. Too bad the rest of the movie was so damn boring, save for Matthew Fox handing in what might be the worst performance of the year. Number 8. American Reunion. Hey guys, remember all those beloved classic characters from that movie you fooled yourself into thinking was really funny because you watched it like 100 times just for one part? Yeah? Not really? Well, here's a movie about what happened to them since. Spoiler alert. You won't care. Number 7. Battleship. Am I opposed to branding genre movies after vaguely related old toys to try and raise their profile? No, not really. Business is business. What I am opposed to is making movies this terrible out of them. If Battleship turned out to be the nadir of lazy, unpleasant-to-watch cash-in movie-making, it'd be swell. But sadly, I don't think it will be. What a god-awful mess. Number 6. This Means War. It's easy to call This Means War misogynist, given that it's a movie about two buddies who happen to be CIA spies using their agency resources to one-up each other in competition for a woman, who of course has no idea that her two prospective lovers know one another as the prize, but that would be to ignore how much contempt the film also seems to have for the two guys themselves. Ultimately, though, what this forgotten dud hated more than anything else was its audience. Number 5. The Watch. Okay, this movie was terrible for all the reasons movies like this generally are terrible, and nobody cares. You know what I want to point out? Who would have guessed a couple of years ago that Vince Vaughn would already be over as a major comedy star? I mean, for a minute there, it looked like this guy would be the next Bill Murray, but now, his movies keep tanking, Bradley Cooper has pretty much taken his place as America's most beloved douchebag icon, and his next big project is doing a reality TV show with Glenn Beck. Somebody probably wishes they'd made Wedding Crashers too. Number 4. The Lorax. How do you turn one of Dr. Seuss's most unusual, downbeat, and difficult-to-adapt works into a feature-length movie? Not like this. Rather than expanding the short narrative by looking for greater depth or nuance, The Lorax just pumps the whole thing full of the laziest cliches of family movies, from uninspired musical numbers to overly broad slapstick characters. Here's a tip. If your movie is about ecological devastation and I'm rooting for the cute little forest creatures to go extinct so I won't have to watch any more of their shtick, you screwed up. Number 3. Les Miserables. Yeah, I said it. Come and get me. Look, the songs are lovely, I'm sure hearing them sung in a huge auditorium is amazing, and the basic staging of the story makes sense in Broadway terms. But as a movie, no, it doesn't work, and it definitely doesn't work like this. Why is most of the movie about Valjean only to then make an abrupt third-act turn where we're suddenly supposed to care about Marius and Cassette, who are both flat, one-dimensional characters whose supposed romance is completely boring? Is Javert the only cop in France? Why didn't someone check to see if Russell Crowe could sing Broadway style before they cast him? Yes, Anne Hathaway's part is great, but if she didn't get to sing the big song of the show, it'd be a cameo at best. What really kills it is the almost unwatchably poor direction from Tom Hooper of The King's Speech. To put it another way, I can hear the people sing, but I can also watch the movie suck. Number 2. The Amazing Spider-Man. You know, so much of the criticism, my own included, of this abomination focused on how much it mangled the character and how much it fell short of the previous cinematic incarnation that what gets overlooked is how bad it is just on its own terms. The actors are all either miscast or appear misdirected, the screenplay is all over the map, nobody's character actions make any kind of rational sense, the story can't decide if Peter's parents are a big important mystery or not, and almost every new or altered element of the mythos only serves to make everything less interesting than it might otherwise have been. But whatever. Tickets still got sold, so a year from now we get to all watch Jamie Foxx piss away all the goodwill he reclaimed with Django Unchained by playing Electro in the next one of these. Sounds great. Number 1. Branded. And here it is, the perfect storm of bad movie making. A supposed satire of American-style commercialism in post-Soviet Russia with a conspiracy thriller twist, Branded isn't just embarrassingly self-impressed, poorly written, and abysmally acted, it's pretentious as hell, and probably the most mean-spirited movie of the year. The story involves a disgraced advertising executive who discovers the worldwide movement in favor of body image self-acceptance is actually a sinister scheme by the fast food industry to save itself by convincing the world that fat is beautiful, and the film illustrates this point by framing images of overweight women the way the American Tail movies framed images of cats. Oh, and the main character gains psychic anti-advertising powers by ritualistically slaughtering a cow and has hallucinations of giant monsters so that there's something to put in the trailers. Yeah. And so passes the worst of 2012. I'd like to hope that 2013 won't provide quite as much material, but then I remember that we'll all too soon be experiencing a post-apocalyptic sci-fi actioner starring Will Smith and Will Smith's kid directed by M. Night Shyamalan. So, probably not. I'm Bob, and that's the big picture.